More Disney Investor Day coverage. The Mouse's cup truly runneth over. Today in this video, I'm going to put a spotlight on the Disney Animation and Pixar presentations. And I'm very happy to see them flexing their muscle here on Disney Plus, particularly Disney Animation, because, they're the one that started it all. And they're getting a little bit overshadowed by the recent Disney acquisitions. I'm talking Marvel, Star Wars, and, even their sister company, Pixar. Disney Animation got to be like, hey, remember, we're number one. Although I don't know. I think that they are the source of that Disney magic. All right. So anyway, Disney Animation. I think one of the biggest announcements to come out of their presentation was that Raya and the Last Dragon will be the one movie that Disney's going to do a day and date theatrical and Disney Plus release. And it's another Premier Access film. This will happen on March 5th. And while they said it's Premier Access, they didn't specify the price point. Will it be $30 yet again, or will they bring it down to a more reasonable $20? I think, again, this is the difference that makes theater owners not get as upset, because if it's at no extra cost, although they're not upset about Soul, which of course hits Christmas Day, I guess they understand that Disney needs to try different stuff. But I think that if it's no extra cost to watch it at home, of course you're going to watch it at home. There needs to be some kind of moment of should I go to theaters as long as I'm paying for this specifically? That I think makes theaters feel a little bit better about everything. So also they showed some new images from the film, which included some much needed male characters. I think that's great. I think you want everyone to feel they're represented in the film. And also, though, this little adorable toddler girl, and a really good look at Sisu, Awkwafina's dragon, who will turn into a human at some point, I believe, is what they told us. So we haven't quite seen how that's going to look. But I think the movie looks excellent. I'm very excited about it. But I think that, March 5th, still a little bit early to feel confident in people going to theaters. Unless you're a Fox movie, and then Disney is going to try it. All right, so anyway. And they're not putting any of the Fox movies simultaneously on Disney Plus for Premier Access. What would you prefer? For the Fox movies to be exclusive to theaters, or would you like them to be a Premier Access option on Disney Plus or Hulu, because that's where the adult content's going stateside, or Star if you were outside the United States. So anyway, on that note, there's an overall big push for diversity at Disney Animation, and I think that's wonderful. They also spotlighted their next big theatrical film, which will be Encanto, which is, it takes place in Colombia, and it's about a magical family who lives in a magical home. And I thought it was very nice during the presentation that Jennifer Lee said this is a movie about a home made at home, because of course Disney animators now have to work at home due to the pandemic. I told you, like many animation studios, they've taken everyone's very expensive work computers and set them up in their homes. So everybody's working remotely, and they're able to make an entire movie that way. Lin Manuel Miranda is very deeply involved in this. Also the live-action Little Mermaid movie as well. But he's doing the music here. Moana, turned out very well. I think that it didn't make quite as big a splash as Disney animated movies usually make, but it has gone on to have a very long life. It's a little like Tangled, right? It's very beloved by a lot of people. It's like Tangled or the prequels, I would say, the Star Wars prequels, interestingly enough. We'll talk more about Moana in a moment. And then Byron Howard will co-direct, and he's behind Tangled and Zootopia. Jared Bush also worked on Zootopia. Rich Moore left the company. He left Disney, and I'm curious to see if he was maybe the special sauce that made Zootopia work. We're going to find out. And Jared Bush, though, also scripted Moana. So they have a good track record. I think we can trust them on Encanto. And Lin Manuel Miranda, I'm sure, is supervising overall. I'm sure he's, someone they're asking his thoughts in general. Then speaking of Moana, as I told you in advance, long in advance, Disney Plus will have a number of Disney animated shorts premiering in 2022, although the Moana one is 2023. Some of these things are pretty far off. But anyway, I don't think they specified it during the presentation, but I told you, and I'll repeat it here, that I know there's six 15-minute episodes. Those seem a little short to me, but at least they're longer than 6 to 8 minutes. I think you can get a good amount of story in 15 minutes. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's great to see some Disney princesses live on Disney Plus this way. Tiana, that of course will help focus on the way that the Splash Mountain ride is being redone. I don't know if this will be in 2D or 3D animation, but I hope it looks like the hand-drawn animation of the original thing. And I don't think she's going to be a frog for it, because that would be nuts. Zootopia is doing a series with spoofs like Real Housewives and So You Think You Can Prance. That's very Zootopia. Baymax will have a series where he helps people. They spotlighted that during the presentation. He goes around San Francisco and he helps people who need not just maybe to feel better, but I think in many cases to feel better emotionally. He helps them out. And I can tell you that I heard from my source on this one that an openly gay character will be featured in one of the episodes. It's going to be revealed at the end that it's a gay character. And I think that's great. That's another important step forward for Disney. And then, of course, Moana in 2023. And then also they announced from Disney Animation that they were going to be doing a African science fiction series called Iwaju with the help of an outside company. Disney Animation's actually going to pair with an outside company. That is unheard of for the studio. So it was a big deal and quite the feather in the cap of Kugali, which is the company they're teaming with. Kugali is a company that makes comic books. They focus on comic books. They focus on African creators and stories. And they said they wanted to give Disney a run for their money. Jennifer Lee heard it. I always tell you, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Jennifer Lee heard it and said, oh yeah, you think you can compete with us? Let's see what you got. Looked at it, loved it, called them up, had a meeting, and now they're working with Disney Plus. This series looks phenomenal to me. I'm very, very impressed. But again, they're going to have to work hard to make sure they can differentiate it from Wakanda. Not saying that all stories about Africa seem like Wakanda, but you're doing a very tech-savvy, futuristic city in Africa. Of course, there are going to be parallels to Wakanda. And I don't want to dilute the Wakanda brand. I think Wakanda is a big asset for Disney. We all want to see a Wakanda land in Animal Kingdom. I think they can do a lot of stuff with that. So I want things to be very clearly Wakandan. I don't want it to be, it could be Wakanda or maybe it's this. I want it to be, really good, strong brand recognition. But I'm very excited about this, and I think it's very exciting to see Disney teaming with an outside company. Very unusual for not just Disney Animation, but the entire studio. All right, now let's talk about Pixar. So, of course, Soul hits Disney Plus at no extra cost on Christmas Day up against Wonder Woman. And sadly, no one's talking about Soul because Wonder Woman is a big conversation point. Luca is a theatrical release exclusively as of now, set for June 2021. And they showed a little bit more footage. I think it's going to be revealed, as many of you have speculated, that it's a Ponyo ripoff, and that's going to be pretty uncool. So we'll see if that's actually the case. But if it is, I certainly intend to call them on it, as I think we all should. And at the very least, I hope they give Ponyo credit instead of being like, look what I came up with. They always Pixar always makes all their films very personal. They're like, oh, this really came out of our director's experiences. I'm like, of watching Ponyo? All right, then also, this was, I think, a really big announcement. Lightyear. They're going to make the movie that inspired the toy Buzz Lightyear. That's coming out in 2022. That's incredible for them to be making a science fiction action movie. But what really blew everyone's mind is that in this case, this Buzz Lightyear will be voiced by Chris Evans. Now, it's really, I think everybody was like both excited for Chris Evans and sad for Tim Allen. You don't see like someone else voicing Woody on the Woody's Roundup TV show. I believe Tom Hanks did that as well. I think that Tim Allen's become a little bit of a divisive figure. But I don't know, would anybody really have a problem with him continuing as Buzz Lightyear? I wouldn't. I don't think he's done anything at this point that's that divisive. I don't think Tim Allen's going around fighting with people online. And even then, Disney has proven to be quite forgiving. So I feel a little bit bad. Chris Evans even said, hey, I'm voicing the character that Tim Allen's Buzz Lightyear is based on. So we still both coexist. And if that's the case, I'd be like, prove it. And have Tim Allen involved with something that maybe bookends the story with Buzz Lightyear, putting in the Blu-ray of his origin movie. Or maybe he's never gotten the chance to see it. Something like that. And then Tim Allen could still be involved. And then on the red carpet, if we can do red carpets by 2022, you can have Chris Evans and Tim Allen stand next to each other. And I think Chris Evans would do that, even though, that would be a great way to show that we're reuniting as a country because they're both on such opposite sides of the political spectrum. But getting Chris Evans is a huge deal. They even referenced it. That's how they did the transition to Marvel. Pete Docter said, don't tell Kevin Feige we hired Chris Evans. Oh no, here he comes. That was great. I wish Kevin Feige had commented on it. He's probably a little annoyed. But anyway, we'll see if Chris Evans is very good at doing both dramatic and comedic work, and I'm sure this will be a mix of that. I can't wait. It's something very different for Pixar, and I think it's going to be wonderful. Then I'm not so happy about this Turning Red film. Speaking of Marvel, they were like, it's like the Hulk. And I think everyone watching was like the Hulk, it is the Hulk. You've just done a cartoon version of the Hulk and made it less cool and diluted the Hulk at the same time. But I do like, again, a nice diversity play here, as you have May, a teenager who turns into a giant red panda, not when she gets angry, but when she gets excited. So I guess she fangirls out a lot. I don't know. I think it's such a blatant ripoff of the Hulk. I'm kind of not cool with it. But I do trust Pixar for the most part to at least do something interesting. So let's see. They're ripping off stuff left and right. They're ripping off Ponyo. They're ripping off the Hulk. Let's see. Then a ton of shorts. Woo, I think maybe too many shorts. So they're doing Pixar Popcorn, which is mini shorts featuring your favorite characters. It starts this January. Doug Days, which is the character from Up. They showed a clip, which I was like, meh, it starts in fall 2021. Although, as you know, I don't like Up, so maybe that's part of it. And then they're doing a Cars short featuring Lightning McQueen and Mater, which will come out in 2022. I think these Pixar shorts are too short. It's they're so fleeting that sometimes, if you're on Disney Plus, you might click on one and be like, wow, that was a lot better than I anticipated. But I think for the most part, it's hard to get people to watch them when we have so many to-do lists, so many things on our to-watch lists for streaming these days. I don't think these just aren't competitive enough. I'm much more excited. How do you feel? Do you watch the really short? And I also find that the shorter the Pixar, or the shorter the short in general, the more it is for very little children. But I'm so excited about Pixar's long-form series, Win or Lose, which is coming out in fall 2023. So it's just a glimmer in a Pixar animator's eyes right now. But I thought the story about speaking of stories for where this stuff comes from, they said two Pixar animators found it interesting they both had such different perceptions of how meetings went. And we've been talking about that too, that, I'll say something and some of you perceive it in a totally different manner than I intended it, or what I even said. So I think to show a single week for a middle school softball team told each episode from a different perspective of someone involved is actually a really clever idea, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. That sounds fantastic to me. So overall, that's the Disney Animation and Pixar projects that are coming up for Disney Plus. I feel it's very strong for the most part. And again, I'm very happy to see them fighting it out with the other brands so that they don't get overshadowed. What do you think? Share your thoughts down below. Subscribe today. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.